Okay. So what I'd just like to do now is just check how safe you are, really. And each time we meet, if we decide we're going to work together, we would check this. Or each time we talk, we check this, okay? Because it's really important about making sure that you're kept safe. I'm not presuming that you aren't safe at the moment. It's just about sort of like getting a really good idea of what's happening for you, okay? Because very often when people are experiencing low mood or they're anxious, they have thoughts that they really don't want to carry on and they want to end their life.
Right.
And so I need to just make sure that, you know, sort of like see where you are at the moment, okay? And see if there's anything I can do to help, okay? So, in the past 2 weeks, have you ever had thoughts of ending your life?
I suppose the thoughts that I've had is I'd be better off if I was out of it all.
Okay.
Or it'd be better, like at night when going to bed, it'd be better if I didn't wake up in the morning.
Right.
Those type of thoughts, but I don't want to do anything about it.
Okay, right, okay. So when you have these thoughts, in the last week, how often have you had the thoughts?
I would say, I'd say 2 or 3 times in the last week.
Okay. And when do they normally occur?
It's usually night time.
Usually at night, okay. And when they occur, how long do they last?
They don't last long because I don't let them. I kind of get irritated when I get thoughts like that.
Okay.
So if I feel that they're going on longer than, say, 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, I will do something else. I will play music or watch television or something.
And does that work?
It certainly has done so far.
Right. And when you have these thoughts, how distressing are they? How much do they upset you? So if I was asking you on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not distressing at all and 10 being I can't stop thinking about them, they're just really intrusive, where would you see yourself?
I'd say 2.
Okay, right, okay, thank you for that. And so if I was to ask you, you know, sort of like, have you thought about how you would end your life? Have you made any plans or anything like that?
No, not at all.
No, okay. So you haven't thought about how you would do it, like
No.
take tablets, you're not stockpiling tablets or anything like that? Okay. So if I was to say to you in terms of how likely it is that you would end your life, so what your intent is, 0 being no intent at all and 10 being nothing's going to stop me when I leave here, I'm definitely going to do it, where would you say?
I'd say not.
Okay. Well, that's really helpful, that's really positive. So you've got no thoughts of ending your life at the moment in terms of thinking about how you would do it or anything like that. Okay. So, and in the past, have you ever had thoughts of ending your life?
No, it's never been an issue.
Okay, you've never attempted to end your life in the past. And you've never really considered how you would do it either?
No.
Okay. Just need to check in terms of self-harm, because it's very common that people can self-harm. Have you ever self-harmed?
No.
And you're not doing it at the moment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I need to check how you feel in terms of whether or not you're a risk to anybody else. So do you think you're a risk to anyone else?
Oh, no, not at all.
Are you a risk for yourself? You don't seem to
No.
be, but no, okay. Are you a carer for anybody at the
No.
moment? Okay, so you don't have carer responsibilities. Very often, what's always really useful to know is what type of protective factors we have that will keep us safe. You know, so what makes you think I'd never do that because? Okay.
I suppose because the effect it would have on my family, I think it would be devastating for them.
Okay.
And I suppose the other thing is I don't want to do anything about it.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. And that's really important, isn't it? You sort of you don't want to end your life.
That's
okay.
right.
How strong would you say those protective factors are?
I think very strong.
Okay, that's really good. Okay. Is there anyone you could talk to if you know about these thoughts that you're having?
I suppose amongst my family, I suppose my brother I could speak to.
Okay.
Well,
and if the
that's an
thoughts
elder,
got
but-
worse, who could you talk to?
Well, again, I'd approach my brother. I got on well with my GP,
Okay.
so I
To talk to them.
could
Okay.
talk to them. Yeah.
Sort of often like GPs don't work on a 24-hour basis,
Right.
do they? So it's always useful. I like to give people that I'm going to be working with numbers of services that they contact.
Okay.
I've got this list here. Can I give it to you?
Cheers.
Yeah. Sort of the numbers there are sort of like crisis teams and GP Samaritans. Samaritans are really useful. And they are like 24/7 team numbers, okay? Because this isn't a 24/7 service.
Right.
Obviously, when I'm in work, if you wanted to talk to me, you could. But they're really for out of hours, okay?
Yeah.
So, would you think you could use those if things ever really got that bad?
I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So what I just need to check with you now is very often when people start to feel low, they start to feel as if there's there's nothing in their life that's worth living, that, you know, that things are really hopeless, that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So again, on a scale of 0 to 10, it's useful for me to identify where you fit. So if we were to say 0 is extremely hopeful, life is it's like a bed of roses, and 10 is there's no light at the end of the tunnel and it's never going to get better, where would you see yourself?
I'd probably say a 6 actually.
Okay, right, okay. So sort of
More hopeful than
more
not.
hopeful,
Yeah,
right,
that's what I
okay.
feel.
So you feel more hopeful,
Yeah.
okay. So sort of that would imply so 0 being really, really hopeful and 10 being really, really hopeless. 60% would say you're 60% hopeless.
Oh, sorry, I got it mixed
Yeah,
up.
no, don't worry.
It's
So
4.
4,
Yeah.
brilliant. Okay, so 40% of you feels hopeful. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 40% of you feels.
No, I would say 60. I would say 60% of myself.
Yeah, feels hopeful. That's
Yeah.
fine. Okay. So what is it about the 40% that doesn't feel hopeful?
I suppose not feeling able to cope with it,
Right. Okay.
and things getting on top of me,
Yeah.
and it's never going to get better. And I know that I should be doing something about it.
Okay. And what would need to change? What would you need to be able to change?
I suppose
to
me
increase that?
feeling a little bit more in control of what's going to happen with. I know I've got less control because of this. It's a procedure that was being undertaken, but if I had some control over that.
Okay. And would anybody need to help with that? Would you need anyone to help?
Probably the unions and probably HR and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And then just in terms of impulsivity, very often when people are low, their ability to manage themselves reduces, particularly it's real worrying when we're thinking about somebody ending their life. So what we like to do is just check impulsivity.
Okay.
So a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not impulsive at all, 10 being very little control of your actions. You know, you just do something without thinking.
I think a 0 because I think I'm an ultra cautious kind of person.
Okay, right, brilliant. Thank you for that. I just need to check a few more things in terms of how you're looking after yourself. You don't have responsibilities for others, so how are you looking after yourself?
Not as well as previously.
Okay.
You know, certainly in terms of I mentioned the cooking and stuff like that. But in terms of like personal hygiene, the skills are still there and I can still do it. But it's whether I've got the energy to do it. Sometimes if I'm not going out, I probably won't bother to like shower or you know, things like that, or
Right.
shave every day and things like that.
Okay, right, okay. And is that very different to how you were before?
Very much so.
Okay. You look as if you've managed to get yourself dressed and ready for today, is that correct?
Yes, and when I need to do it, I can do it.
Right, okay. So in the past week, how many times would you say that you've let things slip?
I'd say about 3 days, really.
Okay. And is that something you'd like to work on?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that's something that we can definitely work on, Jo. All right, okay. So, to summarise, the way I'm thinking at the moment is that you seem to be, you know, of a low risk at the moment. Although you have thoughts that you want to end your life, not thoughts you want to end your life, you have thoughts that you don't want to wake up in the morning.
Yes.
You've got no intentions of acting on them, you've told me, and that you can manage to distract yourself, okay?
Yes.
They are distressing, but you can manage to distract yourself. You've got no intent, you haven't thought about ending your life in the past, you've got no thoughts about how you would do it, you've got very strong protective factors, and you've got numbers there that you can ring. I've given you some numbers, okay? You're not self-harming at all and you haven't in the past. You're not at risk to or from others. You're not a carer at all, but you note in terms of neglect to yourself that that's something that you want to work on, okay? You don't see yourself as an impulsive person at all. And at the moment, there is some issues around how hopeless you feel, but certainly that's something that we could work on.
Yeah.
Okay. If I was to ask you at the moment how motivated you are to change on a scale again of 0 to 10, 0 being no motivation at all, 10 being highly motivated, where would you say you
I'd
were?
probably say about 5 at the minute.
Okay. So let's see if we can get that up.
Yeah.
Okay.